Hello, my name is Matthew Stackhouse. I am a PhD candidate at Western University, and today I'm going to be presenting findings from a paper that I've worked on titled Perceptions of Local Environment Change and Ecological Habitus. And this was done in collaboration with my colleagues, Dr. Howard Ramis, Dr. Karen Foster, and Dr. Mark Stoddart. And this paper is currently on a revise and resubmit stage with the Journal of Environmental Sociology, in which we've recently resubmitted some revisions and hope to hear back soon. This is a theoretically dense paper, so I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to go through the theory that's really setting up this analysis. I'm really going to try to focus more on the analysis itself and the results that were generated. So with that being said, we'll dive right in. So perceptions of climate change are critical indicators that can provide greater insight into how people generally perceive environment change, their willingness to adopt more pro-environmental behaviors and practices. And studies show that those who report higher levels of climate change awareness also report higher levels of environment-friendly adaptive capacities. So in this study, we considered whether or not exposure to diverse outdoor leisure activities in the natural environment account for different perceptions of it. Activities potentially help foster an embodied experience of the environment that make it more tactile and should offer a more granular appreciation of the environment and any changes that occur within it. We posit that leisure activities might contribute to an ecological habitus that could offer insight on how to motivate people and communities to act on climate change. Overall, we are interested in understanding what is promoting perceptions of environment change, in particular, environmental degradation. We use Debbie Casper's Ecological Habitus to make sense of the relationship between leisure practices and perceptions of environment change. Casper conceptualizes an ecological habitus as a continuum that nudges a person or group of people towards certain values and attitudes that range from ecologically antagonistic to ecologically supportive and situates them in relation to each other. So for her, an ecological habitus is a conceptual tool that helps map the conditions that shapes people's perceptions, their dispositions, and practices within a socio-ecological context. Based on this understanding, we contend that an ecological habitus consists of outdoor leisure practices that expose people to environmental space, and some outdoor activities may be more influential on an individual's perception of greater environmental degradation than others. As such, we hypothesize that outdoor leisure practices predict distinct perceptions of environmental degradation. So in 1975, Dunlap and Heffernan originally examined three aspects of outdoor activity and how it related to environmental concern. And essentially, they looked at how appreciative leisure activities, things such as hiking or camping or going to a park, were more predictive of environmental change in local communities compared to other types of outdoor activities, such as consumptive leisure, which would be comprised of hunting or fishing. Since then, a lot of other work has emerged showing that this may be the case, and some work showing that it is not. For example, some other studies observe that outdoor leisure activities are less of a powerful predictor of environmental perceptions compared to socioeconomic and demographic characteristics, including socioeconomic status, age, race, and gender. So in this study, we posit that those who participate in appreciative outdoor leisure activities, things such as hiking, camping, going to the beach, will be more likely to report perceptions of environmental degradation than other classes. From the theory outlined in the manuscript, we argue that it is equally important to consider the role of education in shaping perceptions. We likewise hypothesize that higher education increases perceptions of environmental degradation and run models that test the extent to which education explains some of the associations between outdoor leisure practices and perceptions of environment change. But for the purposes of this presentation, I will not focus on these results and instead focus attention on the first two hypotheses. So to explore the perception of environmental change and the role of outdoor activity as a variable of ecological habitus, we use the perceptions of environmental change in Atlantic Canada survey funded by FOCI, which was conducted online during February to April 2021. We have an analytic sample of 1,063 respondents and exclude missingness on perceptions and leisure item measures. Following Casper's concept of ecological habitus, our interest is in the overall configuration of outdoor leisure activities to capture outdoor leisure practices. We describe and summarize a host of outdoor leisure practices using principal component analysis, which is a data reduction technique used for reducing the dimensions of a data set, thus allowing for greater interpretability. And then we run logistic regressions to estimate the associations between outdoor leisure practices and perceptions of environmental degradation. So perceptions of environmental degradation were measured by 6 variables that capture a participant's perception of local environment change in their community over the last 5 to 10 years. The variables are scale questions on changes in the amount of environmental space, changes in the quality of local natural environment, change in the number of people who use or visit local environmental spaces, and changes to water quality, green space quality, and air quality as well. We dichotomize this variable shown here by collapsing the more or better and the no change category into its own category, and we use that as a reference group to estimate perceptions of environmental degradation. Outdoor leisure activities are measured by the leisure activities which are listed here. Participants could choose from 25 different options, and at least half our sample is engaging in activities from walking, hiking, to swimming, or going to the beach. Unlike other papers and empirical studies that have looked at similar relationships, this study here has a much wider array of activities for respondents to choose from, including different types of sports and other activities that range across seasons. This table here shows results from principal component analyses, which collapse the activities and reduce them to 6 categories to offer a more manageable set of outdoor leisure and sport practices, and to develop a set that can explore this ecological habitus. Each of the 6 components are listed here across the columns, and each of the outdoor leisure items are on the furthest left column and define each component. The 6 leisure classes, or ecological habitus classes, are appreciative leisure, consumptive leisure, high intensity physical activity, low resource leisure, leisure sport, and then we have an exploration and moderate physical activity class, which is very similar in terms of its qualitative components to the appreciative leisure class. So here are fully adjusted odds ratios for outdoor leisure classes and perceptions of environment degradation. First, we see that appreciative leisure is predictive compared to other classes of changes to the quality of natural environment, and we see similar estimates with the consumptive leisure class. High intensity physical activity is most predictive of changes to the number of people who use or visit environmental spaces. Interestingly, the low resource leisure class is not predictive of any of these 3 environmental degradation indicators, and we can say the same for the leisure sport category. The exploration and moderate exercise class, which again is similar to the appreciative leisure class, is predictive of changes to the quality of natural environment, and directional wise, the changes to the amount of environmental space. When we look at changes to water quality, green space quality, and air quality, we note that appreciative leisure is most predictive of water quality and green quality change, and consumptive leisure is not predictive of any of these 3. High intensity physical activity is most predictive of air quality change compared to water and green quality change, where they are not significantly related. And again, low resource leisure is not predictive of environmental degradation whatsoever. In fact, it is more predictive of improvements to green quality and water quality. Leisure sport, again, not many significant findings here, but the exploration and moderate exercise, again, another appreciative leisure class, is most predictive of changes to the air quality. So in summary, each leisure category uniquely shapes perceptions on a continuum. So for example, appreciative outdoor leisure is associated with perceptions of environmental degradation on 3 key indicators. And with that exploration and moderate exercise group, which again is like the appreciative group, we see similar estimates. Only one category, low resource leisure, is associated with environmental improvements and no change. So we think of it as a continuum. We would have the appreciative leisure class, we would have the exploration or moderate leisure class, and we'd have consumptive and high intensity physical activity. And then on the other end of the spectrum, which could be assumed to be ecologically antagonistic, we would have the low resource leisure and leisure sport classes. Education, again, I didn't go over that, but it does not explain perceptions of environment degradation. In our study, we find that the outdoor leisure classes are actually more stronger predictors of environmental degradation than education and other socio-demographic and socioeconomic characteristics. Results suggest that an ecological habitus comprised of dynamic, intimate exposure to environment terrain may increase sensitivities to perception of environmental change. Those practices are likewise costly and not always accessible to all people. So in that sense, there's a likely ecological capital that overlaps with other forms of capital, namely economic capital. So at the end of our manuscript, we argue that policymakers should explore strategies, and community leaders as well should explore strategies that encourage and support access to dynamic outdoor leisure and limit barriers to accessing more costly resources. So that was quick. Try to put that together as fast as I can. I know it was supposed to be 5 minutes and I got 10. But if you have any more questions, and especially anything that pertains to the theoretical component of this paper, please send me an email at mstacch@uwo.ca. And I'd be happy to talk with you, meet with you, email you, etc. But with that being said, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.